What's going on, guys? Welcome to part 3 here on building a song from start to finish with the Apollo Solo and Universal Audio Luna. We're pretty much just here at this mixing, mastering stage, and we're going to be going over how I'm going to be setting this up, and we're also going to be going over how I deal with DSP and the overhead there. The first thing that we're actually going to have to do is deal with that, so we'll jump right into that. But before we do, check out the Console Classic Sessions Pack. It's available now. It's how I built all of this session. So if you like the song, you can get these sounds for yourself and for your tracks and tailor them to your needs. It's the quickest way to get production ready sounds. So I really appreciate any support that you guys throw my way. That's how I can continue to make all of this stuff for this channel and bring these cool videos to you guys. So I really appreciate it. Check them out. All right, let's jump into this. All right, so just as a quick overview, what we've got in our session, if you've been watching, you know that this is my drum tracks. We've got a drum bus, a main bus. We've got our bass track, not doing anything too crazy there. We've got our acoustic guitars. We've got our electric guitars, and they're all, they're all ready. They're all good to go. I've printed all their effects. They're not taking up any DSP. We've got all of our vocals. We've actually got this little vocal delay that I'm going to deal with a little bit later and set up using some probably multiple effects for the vocals. So we'll actually have a couple of buses there. And then we've got our little group Oz in this bridge section, and we've got a few different harmonies there. Now, in the last video, I mentioned how I want to deal with this particular harmony and kind of widen it and make it kind of fit in its own little space in the mix. We're going to be using the Studio D effect. It sounds really killer. I love that little, it's just a simple 4-button thing. You press it, it works. It sounds great. But we're going to want to print that so it's not using any DSP. There's a little bit of compression on it too, so we might bust that together with these group Oz, and then maybe I'll flatten that. And if I say flatten, I just mean, print to wave. Okay, well, first things first, we want to bounce these guys. I like where they're at as far as their tone and how they kind of sit in the mix. Of course, I'm going to have to automate some of that, but I think that it's a good starting point to just print those and take all of the DSP overhead back so I can start creating my buses and mixing there. So in order to do that, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create a new track for each of these. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to create a new audio track, and it's going to still be mono. We're going to name this Cat Print Vocks, just so we know. And now that we've got that, I'll just change the color. Let's just keep it a bright. Let's keep it a bright color. And then what we're gonna do is we've got that right here. For our input, we are now going to turn this into a virtual channel. We're gonna choose virtual 1. It's a mono source. And we're not gonna do anything on the effects. We're gonna keep this just as simple, as dry as possible. Going to enable record, and we're also going to want to make sure that it's muted so that we don't hear like a duplicate when we go back to listen. Then what we're going to want to do is up here in this sends tab, we're going to want to send this out to, oh, hold on here, sorry, output. That should be it. That should be the way I do it. Oh, Q output, nope. Why isn't it letting me? Well, that's dumb. First glitch I just encountered. Don't really know how it happened, but my system just didn't recognize the outputs on the Solo, and I think it's because when I was setting up my Apollo and plugging it in today, I moved it and it turned off as it was turning on the program. Simple glitch. All I had to do was restart. No big deal. Let's keep going. So as I was saying, all we want to do is take an output of the vocal, send it into this virtual channel as an input, and then just record that. So let's mute that one, hit record. You can see here our input is virtual 1, which means the send on Kat's vocal is going to have to be virtual 1. And we want to bring that to unity gain. So we'll just type in 0, so 0 dB is unity. And then all we have to do is record our vocal. So we'll go back into this area, and then we'll take off the loop, and let's just hit the record button, and we'll hit play. So while that's recording, I did want to point out that that's just keeping all of the effects, including the tape saturation. It's just a pure output, which is cool. And later what we're going to want to do is take this vocal and make that send to whatever effects we use for the buses, so that we're getting that signal and not the original signal, because there'd be a little bit of a difference there. The reason for that difference is going to be because I'm turning off all of the processing on the original track. So we want to make sure that all of the processed sounds hit whatever effects that we use. Okay, cool. So now that we've got this vocal track, it's printed, what we can now do is we can go back into the mixer. And what we can now do is just disable all of these. And now you can see we freed up quite a bit of processing. And then what we can now do, where are we? Now we can go and do the same thing, but we're going to do it over on this side for Troy's vocal. And then we'll just wipe the slate clean. So we've got our vocal tracks printed. You can see there the full waveforms. There's no chops or anything like that in it. And you can see now our DSP allocation went from like 100% to like 14, I think. It's kind of hard to see on my screen here, but yeah, super, super low. And we're going to actually end up getting this even a little bit lower than that, because we're also going to be bouncing this harmony with that little special effect on there. But I did want to make sure that I show you pretty much all of my decision-making processes as we go. And one of them is going to be, first, making sure that these sends are muted or gone. So I don't need this send anymore, because that track's already flattened. So we've got that. These, I can leave them there like that, but what we will do now is we're going to go ahead and just pull them out of my mix view, because I don't need to have them in my mix view. The next thing that we're going to do is also turn that off and turn the input off on that, because we're going to use that for later. What we're actually going to do now is, in order for me to get the effect that I want, I need this to become a stereo track. So what I'm actually going to do is, when I go to make this print track, let's see how I'm going to do this here. First, let's just let's give this a listen with the Studio D chorus. Good time, sunshine. Yeah, so that's not the effect that I want. I need this to be stereo. Good time, sunshine. Cool. So what we need to do is create this new track. We're going to make this a stereo track. And we're just going to call this Cat Harmony Print. Let's go ahead and put that right there, right underneath it. And for the effects, we're gonna put this into record effects. We're gonna send this over to virtual 1. Actually, it's gonna be virtual 1 and 2. Now we're gonna choose virtual 1 and 2 as our input. It's the same process, And let's see, where's that effect now? Studio D. There we go. So let's bring this up to Unity. And actually, I might even just push the volume a little bit higher so I have freedom to mix it around later. And all right. Let's listen to see what this sounds like.
Good times, sunshine. God, so got the good times, sunshine.
There we go. Let's listen to this.
Good times.
So you can hear the effect going in and out, but you're also hearing both instances of it. Let's see if I can do it this way.
Good times, sunshine.
So that's the original.
Good times, sunshine.
That's got the effect on with the original. We're gonna fix that in just a second. Let's listen to a different one.
Good times, sunshine. Good times, sunshine.
I think I just like the subtlety of choice number 2, so we'll go with that one. It's a little bit more of an effect on it rather than just the first button press, which is like really subtle. So we'll go with number 2, and now we'll go ahead and print that one. So we'll go back to the beginning here.
Feet on the dash, feel the heat from the blacktop. Headed for the coast for one last shot. Good times, sunshine. Moonlight, just like.
All right, so let's turn off input monitoring and just listen to this effect.
Feet on the dash, feel the heat from the blacktop. Headed for the coast for one last shot.
Cool. So if we listen to it with the original.
Feet on the dash, feel the heat from the blacktop. Headed for the coast for one last shot.
So it really widens that out. It's a really cool effect. I love to use it. It's awesome. Let's see if we can listen to that with the track.
Feet on the dash, feel the heat from the blacktop. Headed for the coast for one last shot.
It's nice. Cool. So now that that's good to go, I can now also take this harmony track. I can turn off the send for that. And then what we can do is also hide that one. Now we've got our session so far. It's much cleaner to look at, and that's pretty much all we need to worry about. The other thing that I can do, I gotta make sure we do this. It shows up in console. So what we want to do is remove those. There we go. And let's take off this input monitoring. And on this, I can turn and disable these. There we go. So now you can see that my DSP usage is much, much lower. I only have this little delay effect still running in the background. I'm actually going to swap that over to a Lexicon 224 to get that same room slap effect. So let's do that. So what we're going to do is Lexicon. I love the ability to type what I'm looking for. That's one of my that's been a really quick workflow solution. So let's go ahead and take these vocals, and we're going to send this to vocal delay for both of them. Now I'm just going to listen to just these. And let's just listen and loop this verse.
Says summer like key lime pie and lemon. Says summer like key lime pie and lemonade.
I love the sound of lexicon. I just want to hear that with the actual track.
Says summer like key lime pie and lemonade. Cruising top down in.
Oh, hold on, we're getting the other track coming along with it. I gotta make sure that's muted. There we go.
Says summer like key lime pie and lemonade. Cruising top down and in the wind, doing that thing when you're making waves.
Pretty cool. I don't think it's gonna work in this song, so let's go ahead and swap that back to what we're looking for, which is gonna be a room. Let's pull the bass decay all the way down. Push that crossover up, and pre-delay is gonna be
Says summer like key lime pie and lemonade.
all right. So I've got the lexicon effects printed. I'm actually going to rename it so it's clear to me that it is the lexicon, because I'm actually going to also print the precision delay that I had on there first. That way, if I want to A/B it, I'm not totally set on it after listening back to it a couple times. So I might want to go back to my original one just to make sure I don't have any confirmation bias. Then I'm going to move on to some of the other effects and kind of get those done. At least that way, it'll give me the choice so I can just A/B quickly without having to, you know, bounce back and forth between plugins. I'll just get it out of the way up front. That's kind of how I'm approaching this part of mixing with these effects. So, and that's a simple, easy thing to do. You don't have to, you know, you don't have to commit to anything, but if you print it, it's just as simple as unmuting to recall it. So that's pretty cool. So for that quick slap back delay, I just had an 1/8 note delay, and then I synced it, and then I unsynced it and just pushed one just a little bit longer to create that nice stereo separation. And then I made sure that it was 100% mixed. And then I pulled this high pass on pretty high, actually. High pass and then low passed it. So it kind of was just all mid-range. Mod depth, I don't think I really played around with too much, but now that we've got that, that's still on our little effects bus. So now all we got to do is create another effects bus and just name it. So here we go. Make sure it's stereo, add. We're going to go ahead and choose a similar color there. Let's go to this, take that, all right, precision delay, virtual 1 and 2, all right. So one thing I want to do now is just listen to it, make sure it's similar.
Says summer like key lime pie and lemonade. Says summer like key lime pie and says summer like key lime pie.
Oh yeah, let's get this output to mains.
Says summer like key lime pie.
make that lower.
Says summer like key lime pie and lemonade. Cruising down and in the wind, doing thing when you're making waves. Says summer like key lime pie. Says summer like key lime pie and lemonade.
Might actually make this quicker.
Says summer like key lime pie and lemonade. Cruising top down and in the wind, doing that thing when you're making waves. Feet on the dash.
Let's go back to here.
Says summer like key lime pie and lemon. Nothing says summer like key lime pie. Nothing says summer like key lime pie and lemonade. Nothing says summer like key lime pie and lemonade.
Seems a little bit more out of the way, so I kind of like that. Let's pull a little bit of this low pass down, just kind of make it warmer.
Nothing says summer like key lime pie and lemonade. Cruising top down and in the wind, doing that thing when you're making waves.
Let's see, there we go.
Nothing says summer like key lime pie and lemonade. Cruising top down and in the wind.
It's pretty good. All right, cool, I'll take it. Let's go ahead and move forward. We'll record that and we'll do a full pass of that one as well. We want that to be kind of up there.
Nothing says summer like key lime pie and lemonade.
Cool.
Nothing says summer like key lime pie and lemonade. Cruising top down and in the wind, doing that thing when you make.
Cool. All right, so that's just gonna do its thing, and I'm gonna grab another coffee, and we'll check back as we jump into the next bit. So, see you in a second. Okay, cool, so I've got the precision delay tracked and printed. I've got the lexicon tracked and printed, and this is really cool. I just wanted to show this to you while I'm demonstrating this. Here, let's pull this up. So this is that lead vocal.
Nothing says summer like key lime pie and lemonade.
So when you print your effects tracks and you make it fully wet, all you have to do is pull a fader up.
Nothing says summer like key lime pie and lemonade. Cruising top down and in the wind, doing that thing when you're making waves.
Pretty sweet. And then if I wanted to use the other one, all I'd have to do is pull that one down and push this one up.
Nothing says summer like key lime pie and lemonade.
And maybe I blend them.
Nothing says summer like key lime pie and lemonade.
That sounds pretty cool.
Cruising top down and in the wind, doing that thing when you're making waves. Feet on the dash, feel the heat from the blacktop. Heading for the coast for one last shot of a little taste, a little getaway.
Pretty cool. So those are ready, but arrangement-wise, I know from an effects standpoint, there's a few things that I want to do. I want to have some longer delays to kind of emphasize some words. Definitely in verse 2, for example, like right here.
Flip flops, cool shades on, day drinking.
I want it to repeat day drinking, so it'd be like day drinking, drinking, right? So that'd be cool. And I'll have to automate those fades, but I'll want to first set up the effect in order to do so. So what I will do is choose a delay. I think I want a EP34 tape echo. Like the way that that sounds. So let's loop that section real quick too. And what we want to do again is make sure that that's fully wet. Turn the record down, echo down a bit. Repeats, I don't know that we want that many. And I'll probably want a lot of the bass to be gone out of this and make it a lot more, have a lot more high end on it. Let's sync this delay, and it'll probably be like a 1/8 or 1/4. So let's see. it's on.
Let's get to rockin' them flip.
All right. Let's see. So this is how it sound.
Let's get to rockin' them flip flops. Cool shades on, day drinking.
Yeah, it'd be something like that. So let's go and pull that down. Pull that down.
Let's get to rockin' them flip flops. Cool shades on, day drinking.
Yeah, so you get the idea. I'll play around with that real quick, find the tone that I want, and then we're gonna print that one as well once we get all of our fades, and then we'll start creating our mix buses, and that'll be that. The last effect that I know I wanna do is right in the middle of this verse. You have this cool little guitar part, and it's not as accentuated as I wanted it to be, so I think it's right here. Let's listen to just these guitars.
Heart sinking, long year.
So the went out, right? We want that to be even bigger and wider, so I'm gonna send that to an effects bus and have that be a bigger, longer delay. So we'll print all of those little effects, and then we'll start building our mix buses. All right. Okay, so I've got all of the little effects stuff set up, and I've got it all printed here. I've got a longer tape echo on those lead parts, kind of give that some accent stuff. Got the two different styles of like reverb and slap back delay. I've got this harmony printed out. I've got one little guitar bit, and I'll show you what that sounds like because I don't think you've heard it yet. But this is kind of what we got going on. So it's just this little delay on that really big hit in the middle. So without it, it sounds like this. So it's a quicker hit that way. So if I add this back in, it'll be on your left side. And it's pretty subtle. I might automate the trail to be louder, but we'll see what happens. But so far, let's clear all of those. Let's clear all of those out. All right, here you go.
Heart sinking.
Oh, it's been a long year. Let's kick it in a gear and build ourselves a beach bonfire.
Yeah, so it's sounding a lot better. So now at this point, we're ready to just start doing some of the fun here, creating our buses and taking advantage of Luna's bus feature. Now, I haven't used it yet. I've seen a lot of cool things about it. But let's just listen to the drums and see kind of what changes we get by putting on some of these things. So let's try this out. Neve summing. Let's go out first and listen to just the drums. All right, cool. In. So it's pretty subtle there. Probably hard to tell, especially on YouTube, but what you're hearing is a bit of kind of thickening on the low end. Yeah, I want this to be nice and punchy feeling, so we'll keep playing around with it.
Jumping out the old pier, diving right in like a holiday fling, heart sinking.
Oh, it's been a long year. Let's kick it in a gear and build ourselves a beach bonfire. Stars shining bright and those fireflies like diamonds dripping in the sky. Let's soak up the good times, sunshine, for taillights start to fade.
So what I worry with the Neve is that the cymbals are kind of getting a little too washy. Let's check out the API. Before, or with it. I actually kind of like the sound of the API. I think that one's probably the most noticeable difference between the two bouncing around. Yeah, let's see what keeps going on. So generally speaking, I'm gonna bus a few different things together, create, like I said, like an instrument bus, then like kind of like a lead vocal instrument kind of bus thing. We'll have the drum bus all summing to the main master bus, and then we'll probably have some sort of a master tape effect on there as well. So I'll play around with it, speed up, and generally speaking, what I'm going for here is like kind of like that punchy drum effect, nice low end, and you know, obviously we want the vocals to sit just so. So when we come back, the next clip we'll speed forward and you'll see what I've done, and I'll go through everything that I've done. I have wrapped up the mix. I've got the mastered, finished version here. I think it sounds really good. Pretty happy with it overall. A couple notes. I'm going to run through the mix setup and everything that I did. A couple quick notes. There wasn't a built-in LUFS measurement tool, so I kind of struggled with that initially. What I was doing was kind of cumbersome at first. I was just exporting and then bringing into Logic, which, you know, they have their multimeter tool. That kind of gave me some trouble, not being able to do that. However, I eventually remembered that I have Ozone that I had picked up. And so I built this mix entirely with, you're looking at it, I mean, there's not, after all of the bounces that we did and the, you know, after committing all of the sounds to WAV file, like the effects and whatnot, I don't have a whole lot on anything really. I have some EQ. I definitely use the summing really heavily, and the saturation is pretty much cranked on the headroom on the API summing. I have some more de-essing on the vocal bus. I have an API on the acoustic guitars with a little bit of compression. And then I have the ATR 102 on the master tape, which is, again, saturating a bit more. And then I have an Oxford limiter. After that, I have Ozone Elements, and all I'm really doing here is just looking at my EQ and then measuring the LUFS. So actually when I go to export, I actually disable this. So I just kind of got tired of exporting and bouncing into Logic. So that's why there's one non-UAD plugin in here, because the goal for this whole thing, again, was to be all Apollo Solo, all UAD Luna and UAD plugins, which I succeeded. I did that. But in order to do that, I kind of had to have one more plugin just to measure that. And of course, some of you might have Fab Filter, some of you might have some other plugins out there for that, and that's perfectly fine. But, you know, here we are. So let's quickly kind of dive over this mix, right? So I have my bass on its own. I have a vocal bus, guitar bus, acoustic guitar bus, drum bus, and then the main bus. On the vocal bus, like I said, we've got API summing across the board. I played around with Neve, and for this mix, it actually became really confusing, and my dynamics were all over the place. And I'll tell you, with Luna, I was able to get incredibly loud mixes, like too loud. And my dynamics were still there, which is cool, but it was way too loud. And so that kind of tricked me early on, and I ended up having to throw away that mix. I started all my my automation all over again, and I've just gotten this to where I like it and I'm happy with it. I've got all of the guitars with this saturation on from Oxide, and yeah, I think it sounds pretty good. The EQ, it's nothing too crazy. I'm cutting out some low end. When I tracked on the way in, I already, you know, high passed. But then I'm cutting out a little bit of mud in the 300 range, boosting at what, 600 or so, boosting somewhere in the 2.7K, and then again boosting some more presence, and then just gaining up a little bit. I like this Neve EQ. This is the legacy one, so it's not high overhead with CPU usage. On the API channel strip for the acoustic guitars, I'm kind of doing a little bit of presence boosting, and then low cutting, and then a little bit of compression, not much. And most of the compression really is coming from the saturation of kind of gaining it into soft clipping, which of course really is what mastering is. You're just kind of sort of playing with soft clipping and compression a bit. Then drum bus, very similar thing here. I'm cutting out a little bit of low mud to kind of scoop those really low mids. And then I'm cutting the really low lows out. And then I'm boosting some presence boost in the 3.3K region. Really exciting stuff. You'd actually be shocked to know how long this has taken me. It's taken me really long to mix this one up. And I think it's really just because I'm not used to mastering and mixing within Luna. But that being said, I think the result's really good, which I'm going to show you in a second. And here is the limiter, my limiter settings. I absolutely love the Oxford limiter. Works awesome. I actually pull the gain down a little bit because again, I was way too loud. My threshold is set right at that target of -1. It's a little under it. Pretty dang quick attack time and release times. And then I have this enhanced curve, and that's really where I'm getting a lot of that extra loudness, and yeah. And then I've put in this dither, and I encourage everyone to read about the Oxford limiter, because this dither bit and being able to choose your type of dither makes a pretty big impact on your sound. So for this song, I chose type 3. I think it sounded the best. I could be wrong, but I think that that's all largely perspective. So pretty happy with the mix overall. Let me go ahead and turn off Ozone. And we're going to listen to this all the way through. So here you go.
Says summer like key lime pie and lemonade. Cruising top down and in the wind, doing that thing when you're making waves.
Feet on the dash, feel the heat from the blacktop. Headed for the coast for one last shot of a little taste, a little getaway before season change. Yeah, the winter turns to spring, but before summer turns to fall. And you're sitting on the couch and wishing somehow you could go back to it all. Let's look up the good times and sunshine before taillights start to fade. Skinny dipping in the moonlight, just like beach bomb renegades. Dial up your rebel for a minute, throw a margarita in.
Just been a senorita on the dance floor.
Let's make it
wearing flip-flops, cool shades on, day drinking. Jumping off the old pier, diving right in like a holiday fling, heart sinking.
Oh, it's been a long year. Let's kick it into gear and build ourselves a beach bonfire. Stars shining bright and those fireflies like diamonds dripping in the sky. Let's soak up the good times, sunshine for taillights start to fade. Skinny dipping in the moonlight, just like beach bum renegades. Dial up your rap for a minute, throw a margarita in.
Spin a senorita on the dance floor.
Let's make it our mission, a rose or an ambition, man, do it all before summer starts to fall.
Give me palm trees, pearly white sand, sunbaking. With a cool breeze drinking my hand, waves breaking. Let's add another tick to the bucket list, do it all before the summer starts to fall.
Look out the good times, sunshine for taillights start to fade. Skinny dipping in the moonlight, just like beach bum renegades. Dial up your rebel for a minute, throw a margarita in.
Spin a senorita on the dance floor.
Let's make it our mission, a rose or an ambition, man, do it all before summer starts to fall.
Yeah, before the summer starts to fall. Before the summer starts to fall.
That's it. That's the mix right there. Next steps for me is to export to WAV. Gonna do 24-bit, 16-bit, then we're gonna do MP3. And then we're also going to always make sure that we bounce one out without the vocals in it for music videos and just backing tracks and really anything that calls for that. So, and then from there we'll chalk up my first song in Luna in the books, and then there's going to be plenty more to come. So I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I had a lot of fun making this, and I absolutely love Luna. The more that I use it, playing around with the tape summing, playing around with the Neve and the API summing, they're next level. They sound so good, they sound so realistic, and I really love the attention to detail where if you swap out the API summing, the throw of the fader actually changes as well. I think that that's super cool. And whenever they do get the control surface support, it's going to be really cool. You're going to feel like you're mixing on an EVE console, or you're going to feel like you're mixing on an API or SSL, whatever they have at the time. So, yeah, really hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this song. I encourage you to check out the artists, KATRINA Burgoyne and Troy Kemp. The music's great. This song is going to be released hopefully very soon. So stick around, follow the artists, and I appreciate you guys supporting me and watching the channel. We'll see you next time. All right, see you guys. Oh, one more thing. If you guys are really curious and you want to dive into this mix more, let me know in the comments if you would like to do a live stream where we can actually go through the session together. I try my best to go through this video, and as I'm going through the process, try to bring up everything that I can, but it's hard, and I'm only going to get better at it over time, so bear with me. But I'd be more than happy to live stream and break down the mix and answer any questions that you might have. And again, I really hope that you've taken away how powerful the solo is and everything that you can do with it. This was exclusively done on the solo from start to finish. The only help that I had, like I said, was from the Ozone, just to look at the LUFS, and then if I wanted to listen to the monitors, I'd just take it out and slave it into the to my other setup here, but that was it. Anyway, guys, thanks so much. We'll see you next time.